Hello and welcome to Steve's Vintage Model Builds. Thanks to everyone who's joining me. Special thanks to my subscribers and returning viewers, and a hearty welcome to those who might be joining for the first time. Alright, so it's Friday leading into a long weekend here for July 1st, Canada Day, which is also my wife's birthday. Canada was founded before my wife was born. And don't let anybody tell you any different. That would have been in 1867. Yeah. Okay. So happy birthday, Canada. And not going to say anything else. So it's a beautiful day here. It's been really cool so far this year, and a little bit wet, wetter than usual. Spring was kind of dry, but we've had quite a bit of rain through June here. And so, but now we're getting some warmer weather, and the garden's taken off. And speaking of taking off, you may hear some traffic in the background. I've got the window open for some nice fresh air. But as I said, it's Friday of a long weekend, and everybody who wants to leave town seems to be driving down my road. What can I do? So I apologize if we get interrupted with the blarting of motorcycles or other idiotic things. Okay. Before we start today, obviously we can see the subject here. A couple things. You might have seen my last video where I reviewed. I got a new airbrush compressor set and airbrush set from TimberTech. Everything looks great. I haven't actually painted with it yet, but I plugged it in, turned it on, set it up, and I can already tell it's a vast improvement over the little Neo compressor. The Iwata airbrush I got is great, but to anyone who might be interested in getting the Neo mini compressor, I think 3 times and ask some questions before you do that. I found it to be inadequate for airbrushing paint. Part of that inadequacy could be me, but I could tell right away as soon as I turned this on, and yeah, looked way better. The only thing about it was there was no airbrush holder on it. Oh no! And so what did I have to do? I had to go get an airbrush cleaning pot and stand. This was about 16 bucks, 17 bucks. Anyways, came in less than $20. Yeah, came in less than $20. Free prime shipping, tax included. And if you're not familiar with them, what you do is you put your, for water-based acrylics, you put water in. For others, you put whatever your thinning and cleaning agent is, and put it in there. There's a nice little filter here. They gave me extra filters, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're washable, especially if you use acrylic paints or water-based acrylics. And yeah, there's a good sturdy arm here, and then yeah, and there's that. So yeah, you just put you put your cleaner in your airbrush, stick your airbrush in there, and keep at it till it's clean. There you go. The wonders of modern technology. All right, and so yeah, so today something a little different, and something you don't see much with ground vehicles on my channel here, and that's a 1/48 scale. This is there have been most notably the RAF Tilly from Tamiya. That's part of the Spitfire diorama with the ICM figures, and I picked this up for a couple. Normally I wouldn't. I'm a 135 guy when it comes to the ground vehicles and stuff. I'm comfortable with the size and the size of the parts and everything. Not that I can't do 148, but I just like the 135 better. As I get older, I need bigger parts. Sorry. I wish my parts would get bigger. I'm not going to go there. Some parts have gotten bigger. Hey! Okay, here we go. So, yeah, 148 Military Miniatures, number 79. Tamiya, catalog number 32579. And this cost me, I think it was $42 and change, $43. And it might be a little bit, much for a 148 truck. But the thing that really sold me was the two figures. And even though they're 148, I mean, figures, they're expensive these days. Even 148 figures, they're 10, 12 bucks a piece. And, you look online for the 135 figures and, 15 bucks, $15, $18. So before you know it, it's $60 for 4 figures or 5 figures, whatever the case may be. So I always jump on that. And the Tamiya figures are always great. I can't recall a time where they were no good. And yeah, the 148 are smaller, but yeah, it's a nice little touch. And another reason I got, we'll see at the end of the video. Okay, and so they indicate 2 different markings options. There's this one, and they're pretty much the same. There's this one that has like the stenciled on, and then there's this one that has like the painted on, and instead of the star on the bonnet or the hood, it's on the roof of the cab. So some other little minor differences, and you get and so nice box art. Tamiya has always been good at that. Nice box art. This was from originally tooled in 2007. So I mean, it's not that old. Not like some of the 70s kits that I review and love to build. But yeah, and I think it said new parts in 2014. So I'm not sure what the parts were. Maybe it was the figures. It might have just been an updated decal set or something. So anyways, so here it is. So we'll take a look at it. And I'm sorry, the box has already been opened, the bag's already been opened. This is my 3rd try at this particular video. So I hope it will be satisfactory. Alright, so yeah, so we've got same photo. Oh, there's no signature on that. I don't see a signature, but it's been cropped, so. Alright, so I'll just quickly read this off. Oh, it's overall length 13.6 millimeters. Or sorry, 13.6 centimeters. 136 millimeters. So, it's small, but not tiny. And you can tell also that this is a newer kit configuration because they have a single instruction booklet. And it looks like it's, yeah, both in English, Japanese, and I think German in places. A few different languages. And it reads, a fleet of some 500,000 heavy trucks. Now, it was significantly more than that. We'll get into that in a minute. GM alone produced over 500,000. And then there was Studebaker and Rio and a couple of other countries. So probably closer to 600,000 or 700,000 altogether were produced. And they were a vital cog in the Allied machine, which eventually triumphed in World War II. They were a key element, were the 2.5-ton fuel trucks utilized by the U.S. Army Air Forces to refuel aircraft and service their engines. There were 3 fuel truck variants, the largest capacity of which boasted a 750-gallon, 2,840-liter tank. Fuel could be transferred from the tank via an engine-powered pump at the front of the tank. This gave the fuel truck an important advantage over the previous pumpless trucks and cars, in that it could be used in almost all locations, even those airfields without a dedicated pump. In addition, it could pump its gas in as well as out. We'll get into that in a minute. It mainly found employ in filling of fuselage and main wing fuel tanks of large aircraft, while also possessing the ability to service their engines. So it was a one-stop shop, fuel, as well as parts and maintenance. The pump, which was accessed via hatches on the left or driver's side, could be used to fill the large tank up to 3/4 of its capacity, with the remainder added from a manhole on top of the tank. Of course, now we call those access covers, not manholes. Okay, so I'm going to diverge a little bit here, because I always have to add a little bit. The official designation was the GMC CCKW, or G-508. The first C indicated the year 1941. The second C indicated that it was a conventional or closed cab. The K indicated it was all-wheel drive, 6x6, and the W indicated that it had dual rear axles. So CCKW. That's the way it went. Standard engine was GMC 270 straight 6, gasoline-powered engine, capable of 91 to 104 horsepower, depending on the load and the RPMs they ran at. Had a official top speed of 45 miles per hour. It was actually initially designed on this particular, even though it was 1941, designed on this particular model. It started in 1939. And it was actually a modification of a GM truck that had been designed for the French Army in the 1930s. And starting in 1939, they updated it and revised it and so on and so forth. And by 1943, it was ready to go into full service. The earlier versions had the closed cab. I guess some others had an open cab, maybe because of metal shortages. That much less metal. I don't know why. Or maybe just canvas was cheaper. Who knows? Truck was deployed on all fronts in World War II, from Europe to Asia, and I expect Africa. Although I guess they count Africa as being between Europe and Asia, although it isn't really, but I'm not going to get critical about that. Sometimes seen towing an additional 600-gallon or 2,270-liter trailer tank. The two were connected via a hose. After the end of the conflict, these sturdy vehicles were used in the civil sector and provided help in reconstruction efforts in Europe, and I expect Asia as well as infrastructure and modernization projects around the world. I do believe that the Canadian Armed Forces service battalions still do run 2.5-ton trucks. They may not be their prime utility truck, but they still run them, as do many other modern first world armies, or modern first world armies, which Canada doesn't have anymore. But okay, I'll stop now. It's our birthday weekend. Be nice, Steve. Okay, there we go. All right, and so yeah, we get the tech tips, which are they're great, always very helpful for beginners and novices. They show you how to use a pin vise, all sorts of other different little techniques, and so on and so forth. Great stuff. And if you don't need the tips, then you can put it in the bottom of a little cardboard box when you're doing a little spray paint job. Oh, forgot to mention, when you're finished cleaning your airbrush with the stuff inside, you gotta dispose of it responsibly, okay? If you don't know how to dispose of it responsibly, ask the people at the paint store or your hobby shop, okay? Especially if it's enamel or lacquer, then it's going to be highly toxic. Okay, so once again, I apologize that things have been opened up, but you don't really need to see me removing. Well, if you do, here I'm removing some Hotchkiss fasteners now. There we go. Okay, so let's see what we got. I'm going to slide this out. And we've got what? We've got 4 sprue bags, one of which has 2 sprue racks in it. We've got these clear parts. I'm not going to open them up because I'm nowhere near ready to build this, and I don't want them to be scratched or damaged. But I think you can probably see here, no scuffs, no scratches. Everything's molded nicely. Where these pins are, it's not going to matter. You're not going to see nasty brake marks. And you get some headlamps. Pretty basic stuff. We also get copper wire and vinyl tubing for the hoses. Nice touch. Especially copper these days. Very expensive stuff. Okay, and so here we've got I guess, this is the truck. Yeah. We've got the truck bed. We've got the top of the tank, sides of the tank, front and rear, cab, inside of the cab, bench seat, etc., etc., etc. Everything looking very nice. Here's the steering wheel. There's some, I don't know, can you see the grading on the bonnet sides, the hood sides there? Yeah, not great, but it is. It's there. And yeah, so here's a little air filter, it looks like. Very nice. Ooh, yeah, see here? Can you see that? Running across there? That little railing? It's perfect. It's not broken. There's no flash. There's some detail on the doors here. You got the door latches. Yeah. complaints, Kev, so far. The tribulations of YouTubing. My first attempt today, I was flipping back and forth between resources, and after 14 minutes, my video stopped. So I did it again. Then I left out some other stuff, and I forgot to do the kit evaluation. So here we are. Third time pays for all, as Mr. Frodo Baggins would say. And here we go. Okay, so we've got one figure here without a head. He's got a head. He's got a helmet. He's got arms. Oh, there's his little head. See his head there? Now, why couldn't you just do it? Oh, guys. Okay, well, you do things the way they do things. Go. And then here we've got guy number 2. Very nice detail on these uniforms. They're all wrinkly and they look like, you know, they look like coveralls. They look like wrinkly old coveralls. And, we've got 2. Oh, well, how about that? We've got these 2 guys and a driver. There you go. I'm saying, oh, there's too many heads here. Anyways. And a little bit of flash going on here. A little bit on the arms. They are small. It's going to be a challenge. But if I can do 172, I expect I can do 148. Okay, and well, I hadn't opened this one, but just for you, I'm gonna. Okay. This bag has 2 screws, and we have wheels and front grate, a few accessories. There's a rifle here, a shovel, jerry can, spare tire. There we go. Pretty much the same thing here. Looks like we have a choice of 2 different grates. And yeah, so yeah, there's a couple rifles. A few little odds and ends here. Now I see this. Okay. I'm going to tell everybody right now. See that? Those are the side mirrors. Okay. Don't glue those on till you're done. Do everything first. Okay? Because just like the pitos on the aircraft, if you do it sooner, you're going to break it off. And trust me, I know you're going to break it off. You're going to break it off, and it's the devil to get it back together again. And you might as well just go scratch, build something, because, yeah. Okay, past my pay grade on the frustration level there. So, some decals. Yeah, so here we go. Yeah, we got the stencil type as well as the other kind, and various different size stars and markings. You've got the, looks like something for the dashboard, and of course the obligatory no smoking. The Fonce de Fumée. Feuer verboten. Okay, so let's open her up here. Alright, so we've got the panel type of instructions here. Some people like the booklet type, others like this type. I'm not that particular. I'll work with whatever, as long as I don't have to be jumping back and forth all over the place and scratching my head. Otherwise, you know, I'm okay. I know some people like these because at the beginning of the project, they like to put it up on a board in front of them so that they can see the whole thing more or less start to finish. As always, and as they always say, you should read through everything thoroughly, make sure you understand it. If you're not sure about something, there's plenty of videos on YouTube. Although I haven't seen one for this, but I might look it up. Usually I do look at assembly videos before purchasing a kit. But I saw the contents on ScaleMates, and oh gee, I mean, and it's Tamiya, so you know I'm 99.99999% sure everything's going to just go together perfectly. All right, and so we get all the usual stuff at the beginning: tools you're going to need, paints, cautions. This is nice. You know, sometimes I wish Tamiya would provide a sprue map, but they don't. Often they don't even, I don't think they've done it here either. They haven't even provided a parts list like ICM does, and some others. No, I'm not complaining, just the way it is. But what is nice, what they do here, is they indicate parts not used. And because we all know there's nothing worse than getting to the end of a build and you got a bunch of extra parts and you're scratching your head and driving yourself nuts wondering what you've missed and where you've missed it when really they were never intended to be used anyways. If there's a sprue map, they'll often shade those out, but some companies trumpeter don't always do that. Okay, so yeah, we start with the drivetrain. It's all in one piece, and enter the sway bar or steering thingy. I guess it's a steering thingy. And then the leaf springs go on, the bumpers, DDD, and then the exhaust goes up inside there. Then everything goes up here, DDD. The wheels are plastic, they're not vinyl. No big surprise there, no problem. No fuss, no muss with the axles. You know, for me, it's going to be a static model. It's going to sit on the shelf, probably in a diorama. It's not going to move anywhere. These probably would turn if you wanted them to, or wanted to try and make them turn. But in any case, so yeah, and they give you these nice little blow up things about how to insert it, put it in, where to cut off. This is, you know, putting the clear parts in the doors. Again, they give you a nice blow up here so that you understand how these things are supposed to, you know, what angle they're supposed to be at. Because if you're like me and you have some juxtapositional interpretation challenges, then yeah. Okay, and then we come into the cab. I mean, these were very basic. You know, there was nothing to them really. And so we've got a shifter here, we got a steering column, steering wheel, And then we've got the, I guess this is a brake array. Yeah, I guess there's a brake for each axle. And then we've got the sides. Radiator. Decal, decal goes into the instrument panel. Instrument panel goes up in there. Back goes on there. Wipers are molded in. What can you do? Except use a Sharpie. Yeah, but I do like this. It goes in from the outside in instead of from the inside out. Don't ask me why. I just like that. So there. Okay, so then the cab goes on top, and then you've got your headlamps here. Grate. Looks like you only have one grade option, so the other one's an extra. So we can put that in the auto shop, in the 148 auto shop. Then we get the spools for the hoses and how to put the hoses on, and completing the attaching the hose, the hose spool assembly in there, and then the pump into the, oh, this is the pump. It's not an air filter, whatever it is. Yeah, and then we got fire extinguisher, little odds and ends. There's the shovel. And we've got the roof of the tank. And the whole thing goes on. Whole thing goes on. Got the doors here. Cab and motor assembly. No motor. No pre-molded. No nothing. Just no motor. $43. That's what you get. No motor. And then, yeah, here you go. They tell you to do this last, but I'm telling you to do it even later than last. This is after you've painted it and everything. Do these separately by themselves. Okay? And that's funny because yeah, okay, so yeah, so we've got the spare and mounting the spare, and yeah, what's funny is they show the two figures here. They're not showing the driver. They're just showing these two guys. So that's kind of interesting. And then they show positioning the figures. And the two different, well, same paint scheme, decaling, decaling, depending on where you come from. Okay, and then yeah, at the end they've got all the other little extra stuff, part numbers, if you need this, all that kind of stuff. So, 3 figures, that's a bonus. And a nice little kit with some decent detail. Now, I probably wouldn't have got it just on its own, but when I saw it, I was thinking I've got a couple of 148 US aircraft in the stash. They've been in there quite a while, actually, since pretty close to the beginning. I've got the Tamiya 148 Corsair, but the Corsairs were used mostly by Marines. The Navy used some of them, but they didn't like them, and they dumped them off on the Marines, who, as usual, had to make do with what they got. And they did pretty good with it, too. Yeah. So the other one I've got is this one. So anyways, yeah, Corsair is not going to work with U.S. Army Air Forces, even though I'm not that much of a rebel. Okay, but I got this one. Yeah, North American P-51D Mustang, 8th Air Force. We got PD the 2nd. There's Lu 4. There's a few different things. Not going to go through the whole thing, but yeah, and you know, this is really truly one of Tamiya's classic 1970s kits. You know, we get 2 sprue bags. You get a pilot, which is great. I'm probably not going to use him because he's going to get. They don't usually sit in the aircraft when it's being refueled, unless they're in a real big hurry. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. It wasn't expensive. And iconic aircraft. I hate that word. But it is an iconic aircraft. And so the two will go together quite nicely into a little diorama. That's the other good thing about 148. You know, I love the 135, and 135 makes awesome dioramas. But whether you're dioramaing or not, they take up less space on the shelf. So if you don't mind the smaller size, which I'm not particularly against, although I find the 135 much easier, you don't need a lot of space to make a nice little diorama. There we go. This was the Airfix Vintage Classic 176 88mm gun and tractor kit. And you got the figures, you got the gun, the wheels, and the tractor. The barrels, I don't know. I think they're 148 barrels, but they're the side. They looked okay. So yeah. So yeah, you get the figures, and so yeah, I imported the barrels, the tent, fireplace. That was part of an Italeri kit. You got 2 tents, 2 fireplaces. And a water well, which I think I did a pretty good job painting that up, don't you? And that's part of another diorama. So yeah, you know, I got these palm trees. I don't know, got a bag of them for $6 or whatever, all different sizes. And so yeah, it doesn't take much. You don't need a lot of space to make a nice little diorama. It doesn't have to cost a lot either. Very nice. Very pleased with that. Okay, so now we come to ratings. Haven't rated a kit for a while. Okay, so to quickly go over it, I have a 12-point system, 10 standard points, 2 points for packaging, 2 points for sprues, 3 points for the parts, and up to 3 points for the instructions. For each of those categories, there's a quarter-point bonus for any wow factors, as well as I reserve a full an additional full point for what I call value. And value, you know, it's not just what you pay for it, but what you're going to get out of it. So, as far as packaging is concerned, it was Amazon external shipping packaging. Not going to ding the merchant for that. I am going to ding them though for this silly. What they did was they I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Okay, so you've got the normal Tamiya tape, except this is clear, not yellow. It's usually so old it's yellow. But anyways, you've got the normal Tamiya tape, and you know, which is usually more than adequate. But what they did here was they ran a line of tape all around so it curled over to all the edges at the bottom. Now, for me, I don't care about that, but for people who want a perfectly pristine box, they'd be very disappointed and upset. The box art's nice. They never give you a lot of kit info on the side with Tamiya, but there it is. So 1.75 there. Excuse me. As far as the sprues were concerned, nothing to complain about there. I saw a tiny little bit of flash on one arm of one of the figures, but otherwise everything was perfect. So a full 2 points there. Parts, quality of the plastic, as always with Tamiya, excellent. Detail is just okay. There were no warped or broken off parts. The decals were adequate. There was no PE, but they did include the copper wire and vinyl tubing. So yeah, I'm going to ding them a 1/4 point for detail. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like there wasn't a lot of detail on these things. But yeah, what there was just kind of. But I'm going to give them back their 1/4 point for the wow factor of the vinyl tubing. So that's going to make a big difference. So full 3 points on that. Instructions. Nothing. You know, the only thing you might complain about is that they're in black and white. I used to ding a 1/4 point if they weren't in color, but now I changed it. You get a 1/4 point bonus if you include a color sheet. Everything was laid out beautifully. The usual Tamiya wonderfulness. And as far as value points are concerned, I'm going to give it a full 3/4 of a point. You get the you get the subject itself, which does have quite a number of parts, and it's going to be a lot of fun to assemble. Most people could probably do it in a weekend, or maybe even a day. But you're going to get your enjoyment out of it. And heck, I mean, 3 figures. I'm almost debating whether to give them a full point on that, but I'm not gonna. Just because I'm too nice. Yeah, and I don't want to be too nice. Yeah. Okay, so just bear with me while I do a little bit of summing. That brings us up to 10.5 out of 12. Very respectable. You could certainly spend $45 on worse things. And like I said, you get the 3 figures. You get the, that 3rd figure was a real bonus. You'd think they'd mention it, but they didn't. So yeah, there you go. So 10.5 out of 12. And like I said, perfect for a little diorama. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for stopping by. Appreciate everybody's time. I know it's very valuable. And I thank everyone for their positive feedback, respectful comments, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye now.